What's up, guys? Welcome back to Corvette Weekly. We are here for our second, or what is today? Yeah, I guess it's the second week of the month. That means Brandon and David are on here with us. Right down,
Goodbye, buddy.
right down here. This is Brandon. Right over
Hello.
here. This is David. So they join us second week or every other week, basically, on the Corvette Weekly here to kind of lend their expertise, kind of go over car guy stuff because we all really know cars very well, and to kind of go back and forth with car stuff. It's fun, number one, but number two, there are a lot of people that don't necessarily know as much as these guys below, especially. But when we're all together, we kind of fill in the gaps, and we seem like we can get it all figured out. So anyway, welcome back to Corvette Weekly. This is where we discuss everything and anything Corvette. As usual, this is brought to you by the NCM Insurance, National Corvette Museum Insurance. So if you want to check them out, they typically will save you over 50%, 50%. Check out the link in the description down below. And when you do go to get a quote on step number 5, just make sure you put horsepower obsessed in the area where it asks, where'd you hear about us? If you do that, it's going to give you the best rate, and it's also going to help out the channel here. Go check it out. It doesn't cost anything, doesn't even hit your credit, so it's a free thing to check out. You might as well give it a shot and see if you can save some money. But again, guys, I'm here with two of the finest. Brandon from Brandon's Garage, David from DBM Racing. We're going to talk a lot about the ZR1 tonight. So lots of interesting things. We were just talking about it before I hit the go live button. We have some differing opinions on some things here, but we're going to talk about all of it tonight. So yeah, what's up? So we got Shane in the house.
Thank
Shane,
goodness.
we just talked. Yeah,
Finally, Shane's back.
we just talked
back. I don't have to worry about thumbs up tonight.
Shane's the man.
Yep, me and Shane just talked on the phone a little bit earlier today. He's getting off 20 straight hours of work. The only other people I know that work that much are these two below me. So it's like everybody around me works so much, and here I am, and I'm like, oh, I just woke up. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you guys all killing it with the working stuff. But yeah, Amber's sitting right here next to me. You can't see her; she's off screen. But say hi, Amber.
Hello.
Hey, Amber.
She said hello. So she is here.
Mark.
She's typing in the comment section.
Right. Yeah, Mark Cootsy's here. What's up, buddy?
There it is. There it is, Brandon. I told you I was going to get the question.
Yeah, it was coming, wasn't it? Yeah.
Kevin Horan says, "Are you at Brandon's?" I'm not. So I'm on vacation in Tennessee at a cabin kind of place. And I told Brandon as soon as he came on, I said, "People are going to think we're at the same place, but no, we're not." I'm in Tennessee. Brandon's in Georgia, right?
Yeah. Only about an hour and a half away from each other, though. We're kind of close.
Yeah, we're kind of close, but the cabin's not that big. So let's see.
You got Omid.
Yep. Omid's in the house. What's up, man? I heard you're looking at possibly a AWE exhaust. That's pretty cool.
There you go. That exhaust, I loved your exhaust to begin with.
Yeah.
But the high flow cast next level. I know we've said it on every live stream so far, but next level, dude. Like, and looking at the videos of the Ferrari videos that we'll talk about when we talk to ZR1s,
right?
Like your car it's right up there, man. It really is. It really is.
It sounds fantastic. But Cole, I gotta address this. Cole McMean's in the house. I haven't seen you in a little while, Cole. How you been, man? Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of you guys always, as usual, tuning in. To see all the same faces in here all the time, it's awesome. Because we're building that community, and it just makes it stronger every single Monday that you guys are all tuning in. We're all trying to, stay tight. John Perkins is in the house. And actually, you know what? Shane told me a story about the fact that he met up with John and Aaron, AARPM, who I think is also in here. And they met up on their own. So the only reason they even know of each other is because of the live videos here. And that is a perfect example of this live video doing exactly what I wanted to do in creating a community. Because literally, I mean, me and Dave, actually David, I think we met on the live videos as well, huh? So there we go. So these guys wouldn't even be on here if it wasn't for the live videos. How awesome is that?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%, man.
That is so cool. I think that's just one of the coolest things.
Really, actually, and again, that community that you're talking about, it's there, it's here every, you know, when we do the live streams, it's here, but feeling it in person at the bash.
Oh yeah,
Where it's like,
great.
you know, hey, I'm Aaron, AARPM. You're just putting like the handles to the faces.
Yep.
You're meeting everybody, you know, Bill and all those guys, like everybody we met, just putting it together really solidified it for me that, you know, we're accomplishing what your goal was, setting out to just build this community. And it's great, man.
100%. Whenever I first started thinking about doing this, I was going to do it on a Sunday, and I was literally going to turn it on and just be sitting in my garage and like detailing my car while I'm talking to people. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to just talk at people. I want to interact with people. I want this to be like a thing that we do because we're hanging out virtually, basically. So yeah, we're talking cars. Yeah, we're speculating on things coming up, but really we're hanging out, and that's what sells it for me. But
and it goes even further than that, than the live streams, you know, comments on our videos that, you know, we all do individually, but also, you know, everybody got my email. I mean, email me, you know, I respond to everybody that emails me. You know, one of our subscribers just took museum delivery over the weekend, sent pictures out. I think he copied you on the email as well. I mean, like, just great outreach when people just email us, you know, hit us on socials, hit us on the channels. We will certainly make sure that, you know, we reach back out to you guys. So,
all right, so I want to say hi to Matt. Matt Hurley's in the house. Matt is going to be able to kind of lend his opinion on what we're going to be talking about here in a second. So Matt Hurley, don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking about something that's right up your alley here in a second. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, so Bill Miller and Kevin Horan, again, two guys who wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for this show, are going to Ron Fellows together next Friday, which is really cool. You're gonna love your time there. It's gonna be freaking amazing. But the fact that they're going again together is really cool. And then of course Shane, the thumbs up guy here, I met him because of the live videos. He comes on here and does, of course, the thumbs up thing for everybody. And him and I got to meet at Carlisle a couple years ago. Really hit it off, and of course we've been planning things together ever since. So really a cool place to be. It's really an interesting place to be because of what it's doing for the community. And that's exactly what I wanted. This doesn't necessarily have to be something that costs money or takes a genius to figure out what we're talking about. What I wanted this to be from day one was just a couple car guys hanging out, talking car stuff. That's it. And that seems like that's what it is. And a lot of people are liking it. So as always though, guys, if you have anything that you think we should do on here or any kind of tips that might make this a little more enjoyable for you, shoot them out there. I mean, we're always willing to change things up. So, what do we got here? 46 thumbs up currently, guys. Let's hit that 100 mark by 8 o'clock, which is 20 minutes from now. I think we can do it.
Yeah, and any questions you guys have that you don't get to on the live stream, you know, hit us on our other source or email, you know, DBM Racing 2019 or email Justin. We'll get back to you. You know, maybe something we bring. Well, wow, that's a really good question. We bring it up as a live stream topic, and you know, between the three of us, I mean, we can start talking cars, and it could be midnight. We could do this live stream till midnight and not even blink. So,
definitely,
plenty of stuff for us to do, guys.
That's the sad truth of it, is that it's such a good time. But actually, David, you bring up a good point. If you guys do have any kind of questions or anything that you want to discuss or experience that somehow didn't get answered on the live, check out the link in the description down below as well. I do have a Discord channel that if you're on there and you're asking questions and everything, between me and the other like 150 users or so that are on there, we'll actually be able to answer for you as well. And I think David and Brandon are both going to join on there as well. So we all can answer questions on that Discord. So check out the link in the description. It's really kind of like a chat application that you can have direct access to all of us in. So kind of like this, only all the time. So that would be pretty cool. So yeah, I just saw Matt Hurley says he's leaving Thursday morning with his wife and his daughter for a road trip from Florida to the Smokies / Tail of the Dragon. So I'm actually pretty close to the Smoky Mountains, right? Yeah.
Oh, you're in the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah, you can go from Tail of the Dragon almost back into the back way to Gatlinburg, which is an awesome drive. And if you're going to do the Tail of the Dragon, there's a lot of like different. I think there's one called like the Snake. It's a bunch of different routes that aren't actually the Tail of the Dragon. And if you're going to that and it's on the weekend, try to go during the week if possible, because it's so busy you can't really do anything. The police are covering it up during the weekends. If you go during the week, you have more of a chance to kind of get after it a little bit and have a little bit of fun. But during the weekends, it's so congested, it's not as fun. But there's a lot of outlying routes. One I think's like called a snake or something,
Yeah.
something like that. And it's very similar in the amount of turns, not as many, obviously, and not as popular. But you can do more stuff. And so if you're going that way, look some of those up because it's an awesome trip. It's all about timing though because it's just so congested.
Right.
And whatnot.
Yeah, 100%.
I know if Matt Hurley's coming up and he'll be in the area, Darren Burnett's in the area as well. And he even says, Matt, maybe you, Justin, and I can get together before he heads out. That would be really awesome, guys. So, Matt, if that is a possibility for you, let me know. We could absolutely meet up. I'd love to meet both of you guys. But me and Darren had already talked about meeting up before I leave. So if you are down for that idea as well, Matt, let me know. I think it would be awesome.
Justin, when do you leave? When do you leave, Justin?
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. Okay.
Yeah, and Matt, 2 pieces of advice on the Dragon. One, get with the people that are doing the professional photography and videos.
Yeah.
They take amazing video and photos. And the other thing is don't cross the center line because most people that have accidents on that road are because somebody else came into their lane and smacked them. So
it's usually a motorcycle or something because they have trouble.
It's always the big Harleys that kind of can't really roll it as much because they'll scrape the pipes. Right. Keith French comes in. He says, "Hey guys, I'm late to the party. I'm actually in Destin on the beach. Look at that. So he's on the beach. Brandon's David's on the freaking beach. Everybody's on the beach except for me and Brandon. What are we doing, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm in the woods.
I'm in the woods. Yeah, me too. If you guys can see behind me, it's nothing but trees.
I got frogs and cicadas. That's it.
Oh yeah, are they still going nuts?
Yeah, where's the frog?
Oh, that's right. I gotta pull up that picture. I need that picture on here. Oh, that was too much.
There's no sounds right now, which is ironic. It's very quiet around here.
I gotta see if I can pull that up.
I heard.
I mean, I was getting so much crap last week about the frogs.
You did. You should get crap about it. But
you should get crap about it.
65 said there's new asphalt on the Tennessee Dragon side. I heard that. I heard it's amazing now. They just paved it. I heard it's insane. So.
If I wasn't working, I would go up there. That's this weekend too, Justin. The Tail Dragon. I'd be all about it, but I work this weekend.
Oh, okay. That sucks. But what about? Why can't I open this? David, who made those pictures? Was that
Yeah.
Killboy.
Yep. Yeah.
You talking about Killboy? You talking about on the Tail Dragon?
No. Yeah, it was she made him as a joke for Brandon because he did the cicadas, and then he went out after, and there was like 100 frogs in his driveway. After
I wanted to know who made the picture. Was it your girlfriend?
Crystal. No, Crystal made them.
Crystal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think she sent it in that text thread. It was either in our text thread.
Yeah.
I got it, but I just wanted to give credit where credit's due. So Crystal made these pictures, and if you guys remember, the last time I had Brandon and David both on the show, in the background in Brandon's garage, all you could hear was like these frogs just going nuts. And he goes out afterwards and he sent me a video. I wish I would have thought about it and pulled it up, but he sent me a video of just walking through his driveway. There's frogs everywhere. And then Crystal decides she's going to try to make us like channel icons. And she makes one. Right. She makes one, of course, as a joke for Brandon. But this was it. Whenever he said it, I lost it. So check out this new channel logo for Brandon's garage. Look at that.
I was like, that's so good. Like I need to use that somehow.
It is so good. And the thing is, it's like as I was looking at it, I was like, man, that is really well done. Like I feel like that needs to be used somewhere.
I know. It'd be such a waste. I'm gonna make use of it somehow.
It couldn't have been better to she does so much graphic design.
It is hilarious,
to help out with like the channel and t-shirts. But that logo was killer. I was like, oh my god, that would be a great t-shirt for Brandon to just print out and have.
I'm gonna do that. I'm taking that logo. I'm making a shirt. I'm gonna be wearing a shirt.
You absolutely should make a shirt of that.
The next time I give it 2 weeks.
It's funny.
Yeah, I'm wearing that shirt. I'm doing it.
Yeah, because she's done so much with like logos and stuff and trying to help with t-shirts as far as graphic design. But and she watches the live streams. But like when it came across, I laughed so freaking hard.
Yeah,
dude.
it was good.
I was rolling.
Matt Hurley says as of right now he thinks he'll be in the Smokies all day Friday. I'm pretty close to the Smokies as well, Matt. So I mean, honestly, even if you're not on the tail of the Dragon, if you want to try to meet up anywhere between Smoky Mountains, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, I'm kind of pretty close to all those things. So I think Darren Burnett's pretty close to all of those as well. We can find somewhere to meet up in there. If you have a minute, I think it would be pretty cool to meet up. but let me know for sure.
And even all the other roads around there are awesome. Like the Dragon's great, but everything, there's just beautiful drives around there. It's awesome.
And keep in mind, I think the Cherhola, the Skyway, I think they use helicopter actual radar. They use like the markings on the road,
Yeah.
so watch out for that if you're blistering through there.
Gordon Cruz says, hello, pit crew. Great seeing you all.
Hey, Gordon.
Yeah, we've kind of adopted the horsepower pit crew thing. We're kind of trying to run with it at this point to see what we can make happen with it. Because honestly, between myself, Brandon, and David, we know a lot of stuff about cars. So to call this a pit crew really is kind of fitting. Just because we're all like serious car guys at heart. I mean,
right.
Look,
Brandon and I are always wrenching on something.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah. I for the most part, other than my cats, which these guys did, I do all my own mods on my cars as well. So it's like together we really do. We almost could run a pit crew.
We could we definitely could run a pit crew. And when Brandon and I go to the track and race, like something always breaks or something always shuts down, we're always our own pit crew. So 100%. We always are.
All right, guys, we are at 65 thumbs ups currently. We got 12 more minutes to get to 100, so we need 35 more. It'd be really cool, guys. Let's try to get to 100 by 8, and then of course 200 by 8:30 is always the goal. It'd be really awesome if you guys could help us out with that. We are going to talk a lot about the ZR1 here. Actually, let's do it now. So
let's get into it, man.
Yes, yeah, I'm ready.
Yes, I'm ready. I've been chomping at the bit on this one.
Yeah.
All of our opinions have all changed this week. It's going to be a shocker.
It does. Other than Brand, or other than David's, person. I think, right? David.
Yeah, David's the only one.
David's sticking with it. And you know what's funny is someone on this screen is going to be right. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So let's start with the latest sound clips. We talked about this last week. The latest sound clips of the ZR1 sitting in the parking lot. I actually don't have them pulled up here, but I'm sure you guys have all seen them by now. That is the first sound clip of this car that I actually think does, in fact, sound like a flat plane crank. Now, me and Brandon talked about this a couple days ago, and him and I were both in agreement. Yeah, it sounds like a flat plane crank. And it's weird because you guys know how I feel about this. I've been saying since day one, it's not a flat plane crank. And if it was, that it's lower displacement to kind of, adjust with reliability and everything. And I still do believe that is going to be the case. But after hearing those videos recently, I'm switching sides. I think this is a flat plane crank after all.
And yeah, me too. And also with the SF90 testing, I think that kind of throws it even more so into that box, just because it looks like they're modeling things, at least the Zora probably, alongside that. And if they are, then that's a 4-liter flat plane crank car that's also got front 2 engine. Actually, I think it's three electric motors, but if they're modeling after that, they're probably going to go on that same pathway. So I think they're going to veer away from Ford. Like that's where David kind of thinking they're going to follow Ford's footsteps. But I don't think so, mainly because of the crankshaft itself being heavier. They matched the weight of this Corvette cam modem to the LT2, so they didn't really lose any weight per se with putting this larger motor in the car. And I just don't see them adding weight for any reason. For that reason, and the sound clips, I'm changing my opinion. I think it's going to be a flat plane crank. I think they're going to keep it. They're going to do like what you said, Justin, drop the displacement, something in the 4 point whatever range. And I don't know if they're just going to do it with the bore and keep the stroke the same or what, but either way, they're going to do something different with it, but keep the intake, relatively the heads, and those kind of things the same, and just put turbos on it. So that's my thoughts.
I mean, honestly, with how much work and time they put into the LT6, I knew from day one they weren't just going to take the LT6, throw it into the ZR1 and put turbos on it and say, there it is. That's not what they're going to do. They can't do that. The engine is not going to reliably hold boost. But they can tweak a thing here and tweak a thing there, and now, bam, it's an LT7. So they're not going to use the LT6, and then it stays true to the fact that the LT6 was bespoke for the Z06, and that's the only engine or only car you're ever going to see with that engine. Now it's still true. But GM is building off of the LT6 to make the LT7 with turbos to hold that boost. And like Brandon said, most likely going to lower the displacement to make it more reliable, exactly like Ferrari did. Now, while we're on the talk of that, obviously Brandon's referring to the same thing I'm going to be talking about, and that's the Ferrari 458 being a flat plane crank at a higher displacement. And then the Ferrari 488 comes out. It's a twin turbo, flat plane crank built off of the same engine, only at a lower displacement to increase reliability, to make sure things don't go boom. Now, with that said, I was actually sent a video clip by a subscriber of mine, and this video clip sums it up for me. This is a Ferrari 488 sitting right beside a Ferrari 458, and they're both revving their exhausts to kind of show you what they sound like. And at the end of the day, they don't sound anything alike, yet they're both flat plane crank. Let me play this for you guys.
Not hearing the sound on there.
No, I know you won't hear any, Brandon, unfortunately.
Okay.
But
I hear it now.
Let me play this one more time for you guys, because it starts on the left, which is the Ferrari. That's the 458. That's the flat plane crank, no turbos. Listen to this. So that sounds very C8 Z06-ish. Now on the right is the Ferrari 488 with the turbos, and you can tell it just doesn't even sound like a flat plane crank. It sounds way more muffled and way more, almost deeper, like a cross-plane crank engine would.
Well, the turbos are going to muffle it because it's coming straight out of the manifold into the turbos, right? 100%. That's part of that. But, you know, again, I hear where you guys are going, and I've heard that video, and I saw that video, but I'm still going back to, if you started Shelby GT350 and listen to it, and you start a Shelby GT500 and listen to it.
Absolutely.
It's kind of the same thing. I don't know. I'm going to stick and be the lone holdout. Somebody in the comments asked if we were doing a wager, and I said, I'm sure we could come up with something.
Now, David, educate me a little bit on the 350. So my understanding is, even though it's a flat plane crank, there's a little bit difference in the firing order. That's why it sounds a little bit more muscle car like. So exactly. I wonder, is that why it sounds so close to the GT500, just because of the firing order setting? So that may be why they sound so similar. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, so a lot of people have said that because the firing order is different than a regular flat plane crank like we have in our Z06s, right? Because that's more the traditional Ferrari, Lambo, left-right bank, right? Where there is a difference in the firing order of the GT350. But even that, when you talk about, like, they went to the cross plane, but basically they didn't change anything. They didn't de-stroke it. You know, they changed the pistons design a little bit to give it a lower compression ratio, but it's still got a pretty high compression ratio. But again, to me, they sound so similar. And again, that may come back to bite me that it is a different firing order on the GT350, where it's not really going to be a different firing order from if it's a flat plane crank from the Z06 to the Z01. You know, that may be where I fall short on this, but I don't know, man. I drew my line in the sand. I'll be the holdout. I'll see where it goes.
See, here's the thing. For me, I made a video about this a little while ago because I had a really reliable source that owns a pretty big dealership tell me they saw the car on stage and that it was a cross-plane crank 6.2 with 2 little helpers. Now, here's the thing. I believe that did happen, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
My issue is, just like we were talking about before we got on here, I think Chevy has been testing different engines with this car since day one, because we've heard the videos at the Nürburgring where I would have slapped down money on the table and said, that is a cross-plane crank twin turbo engine right there. And then I've heard these videos recently that I'm like, how the heck did I ever think that sounded like a cross-plane crank? Because that is definitely a flat plane in that car. But it's like, I'm listening to 2 different engines. That's what it is. Because even that video I just played you, they sound very different, but you can still tell that 488 in that video, you can still tell that's a flat plane crank. It just sounds slightly less flat plane-ish than the naturally aspirated one. And just like 11-second Eclipse said, the naturally aspirated one sounds way better. I agree.
And that's because they don't have to spin it as hard. You know, you've got the boost, right? So the boost will come in. They don't have to go to 9,000 RPMs to make the power. They've got the boost. So that's part of that, too, that it's not screaming to 9,000 all the time. So that's 100%. Part of it. But I'm with you, Justin. I mean, guarantee you there wasn't one motor they were testing.
Honestly, I doubt that there was even 2. I bet you
Exactly.
they probably had
Exactly.
4+, because based on what I've heard, like the original engines at the Nürburgring, that was definitely a flap or a cross plane
Oh,
crank.
the first one, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
whenever I heard that, everybody was like, "Oh, listen to that flat plane crank." I was like, "What the heck are you guys hearing? That is a cross plane crank engine. There's no doubt about it." But
Right.
now these new ones, they sound more like a Z06 with turbos, even though we're going to talk about this too. Even though that's not exactly what it is, because like David has said, and like I've said, the LT6 is bespoke to the Z06. It is not going to be
Right.
used in another car. Now, if you take that same engine and you tweak this and this, now it's not an LT6 anymore. Now it's an LT7. That's what
Yeah,
they're going to do.
drop.
They're going to
Yeah, they're
drop
gonna
the
drop if they
displacement. Yeah,
drop the displacement, drop the compression from
Yep.
the 12.5 to like 11 or something for
I think even
boost.
lower than that.
And then it's and I think they'll use the same exact intake, because that intake
Yeah.
plenum is super thick. It's not like your traditional ones where it's light. Like that intake on our cars is actually pretty heavy for polymer intake. It's a lot
Yeah,
heavier
it's pretty
than a lot
robust.
of other stuff. So it's robust. It can take boost. It's a thicker material. I think that is all for a reason and for design. And also, if they went with the crossplane crank, with the firing order being changed, the scavenging is different. And I know with turbos doesn't matter as much, but that's changing a lot of stuff. The manifolds would have to be in a different design. Like I just don't see them doing all, which they would do for turbos anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't see them making all these changes when they can
Right.
literally just do a few things, keep it flat plane crank, do things to make it a little bit more reliable, and then they're ready to go. And they just call it something else, whatever they're going to call it.
Well, and that
7,
kind of
8,
that kind
whatever.
of goes back into some of the other things that we've said before about GM's history, right, Brandon? Like, C6 generation, they got the LS7, but then they went back to for the LS9. It was basically a beefed up version of the LS3, right? So they've done different things, but the architecture kind of stays the same. And Chevy did admit they bought a 458, they reverse engineered it, tore it apart, and they designed the car after it.
See, and that was the thing, is when they were testing the C8 Z06, they were testing it with a 458. Now, this is where things get interesting, because they ran around with a 458, and every time I drive my C8 Z06, I get Ferrari vibes from it, because they really did reverse engineer what made the 458 an awesome car. With the ZR1, they're not running around with a 488. They're running around with an SF90.
SF90.
This kind of makes me wonder, and we were talking about this before I clicked go live here. If they're running around with an SF90, are we actually seeing possibly the Zora being tested, not the ZR1? Because the SF90 is going to be far more comparable to what the Zora is supposed to be than what the ZR1 is supposed to be, because the Zora is supposed to have a hybrid setup. The ZR1's not going to have. It's going to be totally engine.
I think we're seeing both right now.
I
Maybe
think
that's why we're seeing weird sounds.
And that's why it's also why we're hearing different engines, because we're seeing different cars.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's probably what's going on most likely. And have you heard the video from Pete's Performance where they've actually taken a LT6 and now turbocharged it using methanol? And so they've got one of our first turbocharged LT6. They've actually gotten to work. I don't know what the dyno numbers are yet, but they've released some teaser clips. I don't know if you've heard that, Justin.
I think that was a while ago, wasn't it?
The one I saw was pretty recent. I saw one just now with methanol. They were working on the kit, but I didn't hear an actual clip of the LT6 twin turbo on this thing. And it might have been older, but I just heard it. I think
it's an older video. I saw that, and that scares me so much, because that company, obviously they know more about what they're doing there than I do, but at the same time, it's you're really playing with fire, man. You're throwing a turbocharger at a high compression engine. Like, it's not if, it's when. And especially if you're running more than honestly, that engine probably couldn't even handle a couple pounds of boost. Like 2 or 3.
They said they were running 6 pounds of boost is what they were saying. Which
that's scary.
That's 20. That's 24% more horsepower. So take 24% of like 800, or even just out of that's 200 horsepower roughly.
Yeah,
they're adding. So that's going to be a 870 horse LT6 on whatever they're using methanol, obviously, but I can't imagine they're doing that.
Standalone fuel system, standalone ECM.
Yeah. It is promising, but
see,
like you said, I don't think it's gonna be reliable.
And like you guys said, like, it's promising. I agree with Matt in the comments, right? This is absolutely insane.
Oh, this is a great time. Great time to be a Corvette fan.
Being tested with an SF90.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, no matter what happens here, no matter what engine they go with or how they do it, we're the winners, because it is going to be an absolute insane setup. But here's an interesting thing from Underground Reptiles. He said, some have already added turbos to the Z06 LT6, and it's not the same. It doesn't sound the same. You lose all the good things about the Z06, but still sounds decent. Like, this is this is why going turbos is not always the answer, but obviously there's more to an awesome car than just the sound. The Z06 sounds amazing. Going turbos with the ZR1 is going to sound less amazing, but they can make the car, it'll make up for it in the end with more horsepower, better aero, better performance in general. I mean, just like David was saying there, Brandon's talking, or David's saying about Matt, is that Matt actually owned an SF90, and he sent me a couple pictures of it. Beautiful car. Absolutely beautiful. We've actually done some PPF on an SF90 down in the shop in South Florida, and it's a beautiful car. Gorgeous. But we're going to have a C8 ZR1 that has the performance of an SF90 for a fraction of the cost. We were just talking about this again before we went live. We looked at the cost. An SF90 will cost you around 600 grand. If this ZR1 comes out, and even if it does cost 250 grand, you're still getting it for less than half the price of an SF90, and it's going to perform as well, if not better.
Right.
What a time to be a Corvette fan.
And even if, let's say, what we're seeing now is teasers that they're testing the Zora prototypes against the SF90 and previous version. Again, who cares? We win, right? The fact that we're even having the same conversation where we're talking about C8 generation Corvettes and Ferrari supercars that cost $600,000 is a win for everybody that loves Corvettes. It's an absolute win.
Yep.
And that's base too. Like, you know, they go up to $800,000.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the fact that we can compete with
near
$1 million cars and it's obtainable for some, you know what I mean? For at least the top 5%.
Guys, if you're liking the conversation, please smash the thumbs up button. Looks like we missed our goal of 100 by 8 o'clock, but let's hit that 200 mark by 8:30. It'd be really cool. Smash the thumbs up if you're liking the idea of the ZR1 possibly performing as well as a Ferrari SF90, maybe even better. General Lee is in the house. How you doing, General?
What's up, General Lee? How you feeling, buddy?
Yeah, it's nice to see you on the live
and actually,
here.
I have to give credit. Shout out. Welcome to Texas Clay. Picked his car up, did museum delivery.
Yes, he did.
And he has it now. He drove it back to Texas. So congratulations, Texas Clay. I hope you're enjoying it as every bit as much as we do, because every time I start my car, it is.
Oh, we lost him. There he is.
I think it's timing out. He's back.
Yeah, he's back. But yeah, Texas Clay sent me a picture of him picking up the car. Beautiful, of course. Like the Z06 is such a fantastic car, and I think I told you this before, David. Every time I get in mine, I start it up and I drive it around. I stop and I think to myself, how is Chevy going to top this? How is the ZR1 going to be better than this? And they're going to find a way. Brandon or David, we lost your sound.
Yeah, I think we lost your sound there. No, but that's the thing too, going back to what you said, Justin, just the sound, every time I take the car out, I'm not joking, every single time. I'm sure most of you guys have experienced this too. Someone's like, rev the engine. I get that every drive through. And I actually feel bad about doing it because people are behind me in the line. I'm like worried they're going to go deaf or be mad at me for rev. But you know, it is what it is. People love the car. They love the sound. Like that sound is what I really truly feel like. I think most people don't know the difference between a Stingray and a Z06, but they can hear the difference.
Oh, the sound is definitely David, if you want to try maybe exiting and coming back in, I think that'll fix it. But one thing I did want to talk to General Lee. Who said? Let me see what he said. General Lee asked how many ZR1s you guys think they're going to make. My last week we talked about this, and I think it was Flying Cop Car had a really good idea. He said that he thinks they're going to make 1,000 per year for the next 5 years. So we would then have 5,000 total, not a year, 5,000 total. I think that's really the best way to do it for GM, because that is going to give them that rarity factor. But at the same time, there's still enough out there that everybody could potentially experience one. What that doesn't do, though, is knock down any chance of over MSRP charge, because that's going to happen.
Yeah. And that's going to be unfortunate too.
Yeah, and it's going to be high is the problem.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah.
No, see, I knew this was going to come up. So someone had mentioned Amelia Hartford had a Z06 turbo. She was one of the first. I don't remember a lot of the differences. So Amelia did not actually turbo that car. What she did was she put a turbo kit on it and started it and ran it with the wastegates open the entire time. Never actually ran any boost through that car.
And it slipped, if I remember right, the clutches like most of the time, didn't it? I think it got a decent pass, but it slipped the clutches.
No, I don't think she ever ran it with the turbo on it. Did she?
No, I thought I saw maybe oh maybe I'm thinking the nitrous pass. That's where it was slipping.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Well, you got
yeah,
to
it was a
remember she
nitrous
also
one.
had a C8 Stingray that she built up pretty heavily too. So maybe you're thinking
Yeah.
about that. I'm pretty sure she never did anything with the Z06 with the turbo kit on it.
I think it was a nitrous one where she slipped. But I do
Okay.
remember the nitrous pass there. Yeah, David's right.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's gonna suck trying to get your hands on one for sure. Let's
Yeah, but
see.
luckily David's on a list. I wish I was on one of the lists. Anybody else in the comments on a list for ZR1?
Never watched that cord. Yeah, guys, who is actually on a list, especially at MSRP, for a ZR1?
David. I'm too far behind the game to get on one. I got too many toys. I would love to have one though.
I'm gonna try to get him back in here. Is his camera flipped the wrong way, or is he good?
I think I don't see him, so I can't say for sure on my at least where I'm at.
Oh, he just dropped out again. All right. Well, in the meantime, while we're trying to get David back on, let's get those thumbs ups, guys. We're going to talk about a list that I came across recently talking about the 5 things we want and the 5 things we don't want on the ZR1. And a lot of these are items that I guarantee you guys are going to agree with, because as I read the list, I was like, yup, yup, yup. Supercar Ranch is getting one. He says probably not at MSRP, though. That sucks. This car it could potentially be pretty expensive, and especially if you add over MSRP charge on it, it's probably going to be pretty expensive. I haven't really talked about this yet, but I guess this is a good live to do it on. I just had a friend of mine, a good friend, you'll find out why he's such a good friend in a second, offer me his number 1 ZR1 spot at a very large dealership, and it is at MSRP. So assuming this car comes out and it is what I want it to be, I'm number 1 at a large dealership. I could potentially have it pretty early, which would be really cool. But it's got to be what I want. Number 1, it's got to be a flat plane crank. Like I've been talking about it not being a flat plane crank, I actually hope it is a flat plane crank because I want one. It also has to be under $250,000 because I'm not a rich man. I know that sounds ridiculous, but
I'm still holding to the 199 or 189 around that range.
Well,
Base. That's
I
where
think
I know you're thinking cheaper, but
yeah,
I think
I
it's
think
going
it's
to be
gonna
max
start.
MSRP on the Z06.
I think it's going to start less. I think it's going to start around 140 to 160. Somewhere in that range is where it's going to start. So if you get a 1ZR, non-ZTK, no options, you could potentially pick up the car for 160 grand. I feel like that's where it's going to start. But you maxed it out, 3ZR, ZTK, front end lift, all the good stuff. It's going to be at least 220, maybe 250. Because I mean, you can already max out a Z06 and hit 200.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, because it seems historically with the C701 and the C601, the max MSRP of a Z06 in those years was pretty much where the Z01 came in at. So that's why I was kind of getting that 199 number, because it's kind of like near the max that you're going to pay for it, fully loaded, every single option Z06, so that puts it around that range. But
David, I think
that was
back.
my thoughts.
Oh, there we go.
There he is. He's back. He's back.
Hotel Wi-Fi for the win.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, it kicked you off. Is that what happened, David?
Yeah. So,
oh yeah, times you out.
Yeah, and you guys, 2 things I was kind of trying to catch up on. One, the fact that Justin, you had said the ZR1 and the Zora are going to be better cars, and driving the Z06, it is mind blowing that we have 2 more variants coming.
I know, right?
That are each going to build on it. Like
they're going to be better somehow. I don't get it. Yeah,
that blows my mind. And the other thing is, so we're talking about the MSRP. So I'm on the list at our dealership that we got our Z06s through for the ZR1 at MSRP. So we'll see what it comes out to be. So
yeah. So as of now, like I said, I'm on a list, number 1 at MSRP. If the 2 things that I told you happen with that car, I'm likely to get it. And this was a friend that actually gave me his spot. Well, I don't want to get too much into it, but basically, right, I'm getting this at MSRP, and it's going to be it's a dream come true. This is a very good friend of mine, of course. It's awesome. But at the same time, those 2 things we just talked about have to happen in order for me to even have a chance to get this car. Even having the allocation, those 2 things have to happen.
Right.
So let's see here. Yeah, General Lee says this car is going to weed out all the normal guys for the high rollers. I'm abnormal. Nice, nice. General, would you want this car over your Z06? I'm curious. Would you trade a Z06 for the ZR1, assuming you could get one? Let's see. Kerry Glock says, I don't plan to max a ZR1 if I get a shot at it, even at MSRP. If you max out a ZR1, it's going to be expensive. There's just no other way to put it.
It's going to be GT3 RS territory if you max it out.
Especially with over MSRP charges, you're looking at well over 300 grand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
So let's talk about this list really quick, guys. I did see this earlier and I wanted to talk about this because, like I said, all of us are going to agree on this. But this is over at the Corvette forum, and it says 5 things we want in a C8 ZR1 and then 5 things we don't. Of course, a lot of this stuff is going to be kind of second, like, duh to you guys because it was to me. But number 5 was where things were kind of interesting to start right out with, and that is we don't want excessive weight. So we already have the E-Ray that's pushing 4,000. Even the Z06 is somewhere around 3,600. The ZR1 could potentially get even heavier, and that would be a bad thing. So Brandon kind of touched on this earlier about why he thinks it is going to be a flat plane crank, and that's one of the reasons why was to maintain some decent weight. But in reality, even at 3,600 pounds, the car's still a little too heavy. So we don't want it getting any heavier is ultimately what this list is saying.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Do you remember, Justin? You remember the way the C601, how close it was to the C606? I know it was a little heavier, but I thought I remember it being like pretty close, like 80 pounds or something. It was very close in weight, but it was obviously heavier because of the blower, the bigger brakes, and whatnot. But do you remember what the weight was on that? I want to say there was like an 80 or 100-pound difference between C6 Z06 and C6 ZR1. It wasn't a huge difference, but it definitely was heavier.
Yeah,
it was heavier, but it wasn't a big. The Z06 was definitely lighter, but it was maybe 150 pounds total, I think.
Let's see. I'm pulling it up now. All right, so 2013 C6 ZR1 weighs 3,333 pounds.
And the Z06 was like
3,250 or something.
3,200 exactly. So about 130 pounds more.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, and you could get those cars under 3,000 pounds, which is insane, like pretty easily. That's
really quickly.
Yep.
Well, and again, I mean, like, we have an NA car, 5.5, right? It's a 5.5 liter car that's making 670 was what GM says. Very easy. You could be over 700. Like we are the guys in this channel right now. A lot of guys in our comment section. That to me, that's where we're at. No matter what they do with the next version of this, it's gonna be stellar. It's gonna be spectacular.
Well, you know what's funny? I'm actually kind of I feel like I'm siding with Chopper Larry over here in the comments. He says, "Let the fanboys have the ZR1. I'll keep my Z06." If the ZR1 comes out and it doesn't do exactly what I think it should, I would do exactly that. I would let the high rollers have the ZR1 and keep the Z06 because you're not talking about chopped liver here. The Z06 is an absolutely ridiculously good car. So the ZR1, like you have the Z06 here, the ZR1's going to be here. Like it's going to be a better car, but it's not going to be massively better. It literally can't. Unless GM has cracked the code. Because if you look at the C7 Z06 and the C7 ZR1, I love my ZR1, but at the end of the day, it's not that much better of a car, and it was considerably more money. So is it worth it? No. I would if I could go back in time and do it again, I probably would have just bought 2 Z06s and for the same cost as what I spent on one ZR1.
If it's not exactly what I want, I'm not pulling the trigger. Somebody in this comment section, if it's not exactly what I want, you can have my allotment. Like, you can have my spot on the 100%. List, but it has to be exactly what I want because I am that happy. And again, I mean, where does it fall, right? Is it like, so, the lightning lap, right? I think this year it dropped to number 6, but still number 5, number 6, whatever, like how much better does the ZR1 have to be up there? I mean, it's the McLaren Senna, the 9 GT2 YSOC edition, the new 765 LT. I mean, these are hypercars that are above the Z06. So where's the ZR1 and then the Zora gonna fall into? That's
I can already tell you the problem the Zora is gonna have is gonna be weight. right off the bat.
Oh.
Guarantee it, because it's going to follow the same pattern as the E-Ray, and it's going to have an issue with weight. I'm not saying it's not going to perform well, because the E-Ray does as well, but it's going to have an issue with weight. And that's why the very first comment on this list is we don't want excessive weight. So
right.
Well, did you look at the SF90 0 to 60 times, Justin? They were showing, I think they were showing somewhere around, they were advertising around 2.4 or 2.5, but they actually were pulling off like 2 seconds. I think when they actually tested them, like 2 seconds 0 to 60s, which is pretty insane. Now that's like the 900 horsepower, SF90. But just thinking about that, if we're testing against, we've already got an E-Ray that's heavy, that's doing 2.5s.
Yeah.
And we're only a half second off, and then you throw in and put the front motors, like we were talking about earlier. You have the front motors in the front. This is talking about Zora, obviously. And then you put an LT6 in the back, or even an LT6 turbo in the back. I mean, they're going to hit that. There's no way that they don't. They're already hitting 2.5 with an LT2 in the back.
There was a rumor that I got emailed probably 3 years ago from someone who stated to me that their relative works at a Chevy place. I can't remember the details. All I remembered was he told me that the top trim model was hitting 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. And that's Tesla Plaid territory.
Right.
So in order to do that, it has to be something that's hybrid. It has to have some sort of power being delivered to the front wheels as well. So that's most likely the Zora. But yeah, I could easily see it happen.
You'll never hook a ZR1 if it's got more power, because we can't even hook our cars.
We don't even have a torque, and we can't hook our cars.
Exactly.
Like low torque.
Yeah, the C8 Z06 spins tire. My C7 ZR1 with 755 horsepower spins tire into third gear. It's like horsepower is not the answer at this point. We need stickier tires. We need more traction, and we need less weight and more active aero, more downforce. Like those are the things that separate the good cars from the great cars right now, and it's not horsepower. It's the active aero.
They've proven that.
The better traction, the better suspension setup. Yeah, it's the less weight. That's the thing. That's the big thing that separates them.
Yep. Yeah. And Luke Walsh in the comments said, the Zora could be used the super capacitor with smaller motors like the new Lamborghini Siam. And that would be huge weight savings and would, easily over 1,000 horsepower.
Yep.
Easily. Crazy.
Yeah, Supercar Ranch says, I think they could advertise 1.99. That's unthinkable. Like,
that is unthinkable.
To get to 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. That's all you have to advertise it as. You don't even have to put a number on it. Just say less than 2. Because it could be 1.99, it could be 1.95. It doesn't matter. If it's less than 2 seconds, I've been in a Plaid. Like, it feels like your skin's being ripped off. And I say that in the best way possible, because it's a great feeling.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Well, and that goes to show you too, right? Like the Plaid's heavy as hell.
Right.
The Plaid weighs what, 5,400 or something like that, Brandon?
Yeah, it's heavy. Yeah, it's over 5,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's over 5,000 pounds, and they still managed to get it moving that quickly. And Brandon and I have been drag racers since we were kids, right? And 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds is a whole nother feeling, man. Like,
dude, I remember when
0 to 60 under 2
I remember when 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds was fast.
Right.
Like it has a 295 rear tire. At 295, they're doing that. And I think it's a 255 front, and they're doing that 0 to 60 in that Plaid with those tires on it. It was just crazy.
Even the last time you were running at the track, you had just switched over to those crappy tires, not even the Michelin Pilot Sports.
I had like all seasons, like crappers on the rear. Yeah. It made no difference. I ran a 630 in the 8 with these and that's not even in drag mode. That's just like pulling up and just matting the throttle. 630 at like 100 and like 100, I can't remember what the mile an hour was, like 115 or 118 or something.
The comment of the night, because of the truth factor here, goes to Glass City Car Nerd, Jamie. He says, to be honest, a Stingray is more than most of us need, but it's cool to want to have something better. And that's it. I've driven a C8 Stingray. Obviously, I owned one for about a year. That is more car than 99.9% of the world could even potentially use, even on a track. So when you go to get a Z06 and you're just amazed by the performance of that, and then you're talking about the ZR1 and talking about the Zora and all these other insanely awesome cars, none of us even need these things. Like the Stingray is by itself is more than enough. But that's not what car guys are always about, more. So that's how it's always going to be. But anyway, let's move on with this list. We got 118 thumbs ups currently, guys. We got almost 200 people watching. Smash the thumbs up, guys. Let's get this up to 200. let's get this up to 200, and it will make me very happy. It's free. You hit that thumbs up button, and it's free, and it will make me happy.
And I think the biggest news, just to, I know we've talked about this already, but just going back to the SF90, the fact that we're benchmarking against that car, the fact that they are literally testing against that car, that's the car that they're picking to test against, is such huge. It's a huge deal.
Huge.
I mean, the fact that we're going to be getting something that is competitive with that car, I mean, that is insane. And especially from General Motors, a mass production company, and make something that can compete with an SF90.
That's the thing we were talking about before we went live, was when GM was testing the C8 Z06, they were benchmarking it with a Ferrari 458. So now that they're testing the ZR1 and they're benchmarking it with an SF90, you gotta think about the performance jump there, because that's huge. That's like 500 horsepower jump. So why would Chevy be making that much of a jump unless, and we talked about this too, it is possible that the cars we're seeing being tested are actually Zoras being tested against the SF90s, and the ZR1 might be getting tested against either the 458 or a 488, because we have seen some Ferraris running around with these cars too. But the fact that the SF90's there, it starts to make me wonder, like, are we either getting a really, really ridiculously good ZR1, or is it testing agast the Zora?
Yep.
Either way, it's win-win. Like I said, there's no losing.
We all
GM
win.
is stepping the game up. I mean, it's just insane to me.
Yep. Now, Texas Clay actually had a good point here. When it comes to weight reduction, you can't overlook anything. The GT3 RS has vinyl decals instead of badges. It has pull tabs inside the doors to reduce weight. And it's like, when you want to reduce weight, all of this stuff adds up. So instead of a metal Porsche badge, they have literally they just have a vinyl sticker on the hood instead of a metal Porsche badge. That reduces a couple grams, but all of it adds up. And that's what Chevy needs to do. And they did this back with the C6 Z06. They shaved the glass to make the glass thinner to reduce weight. And it's like, go back to that. That's what we need to go back to at this point. We got the horsepower down. Go back to the weight savings game, because that's where we need to focus.
It's like you talked about the other week. Then you go to the titanium exhaust. They already have titanium rods, already have titanium valves. They already have sodium-filled exhaust valves. They start, and they've already done a flat plane crank, so they're dropping weight there. Now, next thing you do is you start doing, like you said, titanium exhaust. You start lightning drivetrain components. You've got the battery, which they could cross over the battery from the E-Ray, which is lithium. I don't know how much. I don't know what the weight is of that battery, but it's got to be lighter than one we have in our car, I'd imagine. But they already have stuff sitting there.
The actual battery to start the engine is just like, it's very similar to the battery I have in my car from anti-gravity batteries, because it's a lithium ion. Mine weighs 20 pounds less than the stock battery. So if they start putting stuff like that into these cars, you can really start shaving weight at ridiculous places, like the badge. Instead of putting the badge on there, make it a vinyl decal. You know, the hood, the front hood, make that carbon fiber. You know, the rear hatch, make that carbon fiber, because believe it or not, that rear hatch without the struts, that thing is really heavy. So it's like, heavy. You probably save 100 pounds off that thing making it carbon fiber.
David, you've saved like 70 pounds off your car already, right? Doing like minimal stuff. So if we can do that as regular guys, take what GM can do. They could drop 200 pounds off this car if they want.
And that's not counting, like, every time Justin says that, he reminds me, it's still sitting in my garage. I still haven't even put in my anti-gravity battery yet. So there's another 20. So I'm almost 100 pounds down. Right, like, that's not hard to do when you start saying, like, especially a halo car, like a Zora or something like that. Maybe not for the ZR1, but a halo car, there's no reason they can't do things like pull door.
Well, you know, the ZR1, if the ZR1 is going to have a reduced output, like, even if it is 5,000 over the period of 5 years, that's reduced enough to not really be called a production car anymore. And if they're going to go that route with the ZR1, they could potentially start shaving weight off of the ZR1, and then with the Zora take it a step further. So with the ZR1, maybe they do. Maybe with the ZR1 they throw the E-Ray battery in there. They already have it. Why not throw it in there? So throw in the E-Ray battery, throw in some titanium exhaust components, you know, and then maybe the Zora goes balls to the wall and throws in a carbon tub. Like, I mean, I know that's very unlikely, but that's what we really need at this point to get this car down to the weight that it should be. Because, like I said before, the Z06, the C8 Z06 is a ridiculously good car. Imagine that same car weighing about 400 pounds less. It would be an absolute rocket. It would be a rocket.
That's also how you get 0 to 60 times. You drop the weight. Like, look at our seats, how heavy our seats are that we have in our cars. I mean, there's so much weight to be taken off of that.
Well, that's the
You
thing.
know,
Like if you do Zora and they have bespoke seats to the Zora that aren't a competition seat, where they're like, the Porsche ones are like the Lambo where it's just a carbon fiber bucket that
Yeah.
weighs next to nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could really get some weight out of these cars.
100%. Yeah, those seats you're talking about, the competition seats, or what are they called? Yeah, competition, I think, in the Porsche, right? Or are they carbon something? Carbon buckets?
They're carbon something, yeah,
Yeah.
carbon something.
They're not adjustable. They're fixed position.
Yep.
They're not
Yep.
power. And it's like, if you want to drop weight, this is how you do it. Because like the GT3 RS, one of the coolest cars out there, it doesn't even have door handles. It's got a freaking nylon tab that you pull to close the door. It's like that's what you do. I mean, I think it was the Pagani has all of the body panels that lift. They're all carbon fiber, of course, but they're all the same kind of pull handles. There's no actual latch.
And fixed back seats where the controls come to you and the pedals come to you because it's just a fixed back carbon fiber seat. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%, man.
If that's what it takes to save the weight, then that's what it takes to save the weight. But
you know what we used to do, like back in the day. This sounds crazy, but we would take interior components of the cars and take a drill and just drill holes in pieces that are not seen, and just every little piece that's a little solid piece of plastic, just drill like a bunch of cheese wedges.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because it was recently I was driving along in my ZR1 and me and my wife came to an older Honda Civic, like the Fast and Furious style Honda Civics. And as we were coming up to it, he was like downshifting and you could hear this thing. It was pretty loud. And she's like, oh, look at this guy with his Civic. And when we get up to the stoplight, she's like, you should race it. And I'm like, I'm not racing that thing. And she's like, why? And I said, coming up behind it, it had a bunch of holes drilled everywhere you could drill a hole. Exactly. And I said, I can hear that car. That thing's probably putting out 1,000 horsepower in that tiny little Civic. I'm not messing with that. If it had big Mickey Thompsons up front, I was like, you don't mess with a car like that. That guy has taken every ounce out of it that he could.
Yeah. The Fox body days, man, dude, I was a big Fox body drag racer. I mean, we would literally drill holes in the frame and like at the top of the engine bay, like everywhere that wasn't completely structural, we would drill everything out to cut weight on these things, man. You could get a Fox body down to like 2,700 pounds. It was ridiculous.
We got 12 pounds off an L98 block, which is the old TPI, like the tune ports from like the late 80s. They were iron blocks, so they were like monsters. You could take and just shave freaking iron off of those things. It literally got 13 pounds off of a block, just taking a regular engine block and shaving it. And they don't make enough power to break. You're not going to split the block. It's not like the Fords, you know. The Mustangs, you can split the blocks, but you weren't splitting an L98 block. You never made enough power to do that.
So Trey actually brought up a good point here, and we talked about this as well earlier. He says, so why would Chevy test an SF90 being a hybrid against a non-hybrid ZR1? This is why we mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure that what we're seeing being tested is actually the Zora because of that exact point. Unless, of course, GM pulls a 180 on all of us and does put the hybrid motor on the front wheels of the ZR1. That, of course, is possible, and that's something that has been rumored for a while, but kind of debunked at the same time. So unless they do a last-minute 180 and the SF90 is testing against the ZR1 because of that setup, then what we're actually seeing is the Zora. And they could be testing the Zora, the ZR1, and possibly even a Grand Sport, all in the same looking body. We wouldn't have any idea. So it's absolutely possible. And that's kind of where I was at with the SF90 talk is I feel like we have to be seeing the Zora.
Again, that's where I feel with it, and we'll see where we come out. You know, Carlisle's not that far away, and we'll get more information there, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. So. All right, so we got 129 thumbs ups, guys, with almost 200 people watching. Please smash the thumbs up button. It really helps. Hopefully you're enjoying the ZR1 talk. We got a couple more things to talk about here with the ZR1. I wanted to talk more about the 5 once and the 5 not once that are coming up here. And let's jump back into that list here. So obviously we were at number 5. The don't want was excessive weight. Let's move on to number 5, want. We want some bold colors. So that is a really good point here, and I think we might be getting these because, as you guys know, 2025 is introducing a lot of new colors. We've dropped a lot of the old colors from 24, so we're going to be getting new colors here. We already got a purple, which, you know, love it or hate it, it is a purple. I do believe we're going to see a green. I do believe we're going to see, hopefully, a Verde Mantis or a lizard-style green, like something that really pops on this car, but especially for a ZR1 at that price range. 200 plus. We need some actual exotic colors.
Yep, like Rob's green. I love Rob's green.
Dude, if they could literally copy his car to the T. Literally just
to the T.
Just color
car
job.
looks
You know,
amazing.
grab that color and throw it in the painter booth, and I'd be perfect with that.
Yep.
So
well, and again too, like you said, once you start to get to that price point, you look at the competition out there, the Porsche colors, the Lamborghini colors.
They have them.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
You can't get. Yeah. Otherwise, it's still that not a car because they kind of market it now for. They brought it from the 60s, 70s age group down to the 50s, 40s.
Right.
So kind of like move it
coming
down to the younger generation.
And the younger guys don't want your typical, I mean, the 3 best-selling cars for the Corvette are always red, black, and white. And now I'm obviously a black kind of guy, but at the same time, it's like if there was a lizard green out there or a Verde Mantis style green, man, that would make my decision on having everything black pretty difficult. So,
100%.
Let's move on though. For number 4, don't want is an uncomfortable ride. This is where things kind of get iffy for me. Yeah, that's what I said too. I'm like, I don't really care that much about the ride because honestly, I'm a guy. I'm sure you guys agree, but when I get into a car that's a performance car, I want to feel like I'm driving a performance car, and like it or not, that means you're going to feel everything in the road. There's just no way around that.
I had a Gen 4 Viper. That was the most god awful suspension ever. As far as like beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, that was bad.
I did not care. I loved every second of it. I did not care one bit.
It's because you feel everything, but then you also really feel like you're in a sports car. You feel like you're driving faster than you really are. You feel like you're taking turns faster than you really are because everything is just you feel it. And you have to feel to some degree to be a good driver. You have to feel the road. So this was one that I didn't really necessarily agree with either, but moving on to the number 4 want is traction. And of course, we were just talking about this. This is a big one. We do need traction. If we have not 850 to 900 horsepower in this ZR1, you got to be able to put it to the ground. And that could possibly mean a hybrid setup. It could possibly mean some sort of front wheel involvement. But
we'll see.
Fingers crossed that it doesn't, because I do not want a hybrid ZR1. Please, give me one last ZR1.
The problem is physics, though. Physics.
It is. Physics, 100%. It's fighting us because you can't launch a 900 horsepower car without having something assisting those rear wheels, or they're just going to spin.
Unless it weighs nothing.
Unless it weighs nothing.
And the weight has to be perfectly placed. There's just no way.
And J.R. Griffith in the comments agree with you, Jesse. Said it's a performance car. If you want cushy, buy a caddy.
Dude, it's 100%. That's 100%. That's the thing. It's like sometimes these people make these lists, and it's like, okay, man, like, what do you use to drive in? You probably drive like a Ram pickup, like a 1500 or something that's kind of soft on the highway. Like, you can't have that in a sports car. You can't have it be soft and also perform really well. It just doesn't work like that.
We are kind of spoiled though, Jessica, because we do have mag ride.
The mag ride,
so like,
and the mag ride helps.
Spoiled,
it helps, but it's not a night and day. Like if I'm in tour mode, it's not like I'm just like going over bumps like this, and then I put it in the sport mode and it's slamming.
Well,
it's only slightly different. I mean, it's nice to have, don't get me wrong, but it's not night and day.
It's still better though, I feel like, than a lot of
other. No Lambo owner ever said, you know what, I wish the suspension was softer.
Exactly. That's why the Lamborghini Huracan STO exists. That thing will destroy your face just driving it down the road where there are no bumps. You're like, what the heck? This road sucks. And it's like a normal road.
They all upped their dental plan for that.
Yeah, exactly.
They knew their teeth were about to shatter out of their mouth.
Exactly.
It's just a known thing. Like you up your dental. So.
And you know what's funny is that if I were to go to buy a Huracan tomorrow, I probably would buy an STO because I want that feeling. I want to know every time I go over a bump, there's a good chance I just knocked the filling out of my tooth. Like, I'm good with that.
Yes.
That's the way to know you're still alive.
Exactly.
Vibration.
All right, so let's move on to number 3, don't want, is, and I kind of talked a little bit about this, we don't want a $200,000 MSRP. Now, I'm assuming he's talking about a starting point, and I don't think it's going to start at 200. But you are going to easily be able to get to 200 quickly. So
you'll option out to 200 real quick.
Yeah. And this, honestly, even at optioning it out and you're hitting 200, even that, man, it's so expensive, but you got to pay to play. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. If GM is putting a lot of time, a lot of R&D into this car, you're going to have to pay for it. There's just no way around it. I mean, me and Brandon talked about this. I think I don't know if we were texting about it or not, but somehow we were talking about how the C8 Stingray 1LT non-Z51s, those are actually losing money for GM. When you buy a car like that that's got no options, they lose money. So if you're not buying a 3LT or a 3LZ with front end lift and all this other stuff, GM's literally not even making any money on this car. Like that's how tight they're running these things. So if they're charging 200 grand for the car plus, they put at least 200 grand worth of work into it.
Yep.
So let's see, number 3, want. Durability. Now, this is another place where I don't necessarily agree. They kind of rag on the Z06 for some reason, but the Z06 did not have an issue with durability in my personal opinion.
No.
I know David had a review video already, but I have my 1 year review video coming out here really soon where I talk about reliability because I have had no issues with mine. And I've thrown a lot of mods at this car where if there were to be reliability issues, I would have had them. So the fact that we have a naturally aspirated engine with the mods that I have having over 700 horsepower at the crank and my reliability's been fine, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, I mean, David, and you and I have done multiple dyno runs, right? You probably had 15 dyno passes on yours at least. I think I have like 6 or 8.
Counting the first one, but yeah. And then and we took them to the track. We hot lapped them. We drive the crap out of them. Like, yeah, man.
I've been to the track at least twice. Yep. I think I've made probably at least 8 to 10 8-mile drive passes, not including like just I beat on the shit out of it every time I'm in that car. I'm always beating it up. And I have not had one problem. I mean, I have a check engine light every now and again from the cat deletes, but other than that, that's
the car is unbelievable.
That's me.
Yep. So let's take a look at number 2, don't want. And of course, this is one that you knew was going to be on this list, and that is greedy dealer markups. Nobody wants these except for the dealers, I guess. But ideally, we don't see any of this moving into the ZR1 now. Of course, we all know better. You're going to see them. Ideally, we don't, but you're going to. So unfortunately, this is one of those things we don't want it, but it's going to happen. So there's no way around it, unfortunately. Number 2, want, kind of goes hand in hand with the markups, and that is availability. We want to be able to actually get this car. Now, if you guys remember when the C8 Z06 came out, man, they were tough. They were really hard to get. They're still not super easy to get, but they are far easier now than they were when they first came out. You didn't even see them. They produced, I think initially they only produced like 500 or 600 of them, and then they waited. It was almost like they put these out to say, yeah, let's see how these things do, and then they stopped making them for like 2 or 3 months. They did something very similar with the E-Ray. They put out a couple initial ones, and then like 2 or 3 months of no allocations, and now they're finally starting to get back into them. I don't know if it's just the way GM gears up for these things or what it is, but availability is something we definitely want with the ZR1. It would be really nice if you can afford it and if you can allocate it, that you can actually get one. That would be pretty cool.
Right.
Number 1, don't want. This is funny. We just talked about this. Hybrid power. We don't want that. I know sometimes it may be necessary, like Brandon was saying, in order to keep the power to the ground. Maybe it is necessary. I want one last ZR1. Give me one last ZR1 that's purely engine-based, no electronic assist, no battery power. Give me that. I get it. We're heading towards that direction, so the C9 can be all that. But give me this last ZR1 as a pure engine. I don't want hybrid power. But if I had to guess,
I'm down for it. I
was going to say Brandon's going to disagree.
I'm in the EV world too much. I like that torque.
I just like to tinker, and you can't tinker with
there's like nothing to do with an EV.
Well, not yet. But I'll give you an example. Teslas, they're now cracking the programming. They're finding ways to like utilize the full output of the motors. Like there's ways to crack into it. We'll figure it out later. Battery packs. It's just basic software. It's coming. It's just not there yet. We're going to be able to tinker with these things, so even if they're hybrid.
I agree that you're going to be able to, but I also think that when you tinker and mess with how an electric motor works, you are massively reducing the life of that electric motor.
For sure.
With a gas,
especially the battery.
Yeah, and with a gas powered engine, it's not that same way. You can tinker, you can add things, you can subtract things, whatever, and you're not really taking massive life off of that engine. I don't know. It's a different thing. I know the tinkering's coming, but it's still a different thing for me. And I don't know. I don't think I love it.
We
But
got to stay competitive. That's my only argument, Justin. Like
I
we have to
agree.
stay competitive with all
I
the other
100% agree.
manufacturers,
And
and they're even all doing it. So it's like
they are,
kind of
and that's what I was
to.
just going to say. The SF90 is obviously doing it. So why can't Chevy? And you're right. Honestly, it's people like me and David. Even though we agree with each other here, I'm also smart enough to realize that we're kind of the ones holding this whole thing back because we're the ones that refuse to make that change, and it's possible that's the change we need to make. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it is. Brandon,
again,
you might be
I'm
the
sure no
smartest one in the
matter
group
which
here,
way they-
Brandon.
Well,
Well,
and
no,
I'm
it's
sure the way,
because my
whichever way
wife
that,
bought an EV. That's what did it. You know.
well,
I
but
got used
also
to them
too,
now.
I'm sure whatever direction they go with the Zora and the ZR1 is going to be mind-numbingly good because it's going to be better than what we're currently driving, and that doesn't make sense to me that it's better than currently. Brandon and I text each other all the time when we're driving to work. Oh my God, this car is just so good every time.
Yep.
And these are going to be better.
Oh, going back to that, I just want to say something real quick. If you guys are getting your oil change on your Z06, and you're probably getting around that time, I just did mine this week. Consider sending your oil sample off to Blackstone to have it analyzed. And the reason I say that is they kind of collect data from engines, and they don't have a lot, I think, on this LT6 yet. And so the more we send that in and it collects like a baseline sample, we'll know when these engines are starting to kind of do things that they're going to fail. And so if we could, it's only like $60 to have your oil sample. It gives you baseline analysis. And it also helps like the community at whole, because then we kind of know what the averages are for the metal contents. Cause it's got, every engine's a little bit different and its composition, titanium Mirage and whatever. So they're going to have different metals.
I'm going to try to do that on my next oil change too.
And if you go and you kind of go on their web, they'll send you a free little thing to kind of fill it and send it to them. And it's only like 35 or $60. It's cheap. And you get an analysis and you can follow your car. And you're always going to find a problem on an analysis before you hear it, because by the time you hear it, you're done. But you can see it. Yeah, you can see it early. This can kind of be a tip that, hey, things are not going the way they should be. You can start watching for things. So consider doing that. I've sent mine off, and I'm going to show you guys later what my report shows. I should get it in like a week or so.
That's good. I know I'm going to send mine off as well, Brandon. I've done it a long time ago. I think I did it with my Camaro ZL1 back in the day, but I think it would be pretty cool to see, just because it will be the first oil change that I do personally, and just kind of go from there. Like watch every time I do an oil change myself to see how it comes back. But
especially on your ZR1, because your ZR1, there's so few of those. Like they probably have no data on that car.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, last point, the number one want that we want for this car. Anybody want to take a guess at what this is? Texas Clade says, Justin, can you put oil analysis in the vlog? Yes, I absolutely will.
And I think Brandon's going to do a video as well. So
we got 146 thumbs ups currently. I think we lost Brandon. Anyway, let's do the last little bit here, guys. Number one reason or want is record-breaking performance. I think we are going to get that just based on the stuff we've been talking about tonight. They're testing this car either with an SF90 or, worst case scenario, a GT2 RS. Either way, we're getting one heck of a car. It doesn't really matter if we've...
Yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, those are two just absolutely insane cars. So, yeah. Either way, record-breaking performance is coming.
Yep.
Steve Robertson says, off topic, Justin, did you end up replacing the plugs in your car, or was the cat Fest 2, the cat bad, I guess? Yeah, so I ended up doing the plugs and a driver's side cat. So the bad spark plug that I had in the ZR1 caused too much fuel to be dumped into the cat, and it burnt the cat up. So it was both. It was a bad spark plug and a driver's side cat, which was actually replaced for free under factory warranty, because the stock catalyst system is covered for, I believe, 80,000 miles or 10 years. So thumbs up to GM. They covered that. No problem. Thanks for the donation, Steve Robertson. I appreciate that as always. But yeah, guys, I think that's about it. That's pretty much all we really wanted to cover tonight. Real quick, I did want to cover one other thing just because I did mention it, and I know a lot of you guys might be interested in this, is a stop sale ordered on certain 2024 Corvettes due to seatbelt retractor issues. So you might be getting a notice about this in your mail. This is going to be a recall to some degree. this seatbelt retractor issue basically locks it in place and you can't move it apparently. So be aware of this if you do have a 2024, something to keep an eye on. But really, other than that, guys, I really just wanted to talk about the ZR1 tonight and tell you how ridiculous the performance is likely to be based on the cars that they're testing with. But I think that's pretty much it. If you guys could please smash the thumbs up.
And real quick before we go, Justin, guys in the channel here, everybody's been very supportive. Brandon and I are going to be bringing a product to market, and we're going to have pre-orders at Carlisle. We're not going to tell you what it is, but we're going to keep teasing the hell out of it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I'm going to say everybody in this channel is going to be very interested, and some people are going to be just tripping over themselves for this. So we'll keep teasing it as we get closer, but just know that anybody that's going to Carlisle is going to be able to see it firsthand. And then when we get that week of Carlisle, we're going to use Justin's platform, our platforms, just do a full review. But if you're coming to Carlisle, you have to stop by and see us. We'll be there with Justin. And Justin's car is going to get some love as well at Carlisle. So.
I was going to say, so guys, they told me about what this was 2 weeks ago after that live, and I immediately was like, well, I want one. And they're gonna hook me up. So
yeah, we got you covered, man.
Yeah, you guys are definitely gonna love it. I forgot all about that though, David. We'll talk more about that in 2 weeks when we're on lives again.
No worries.
But guys, that's good. That's gonna do it. Thumbs up if you can, please. I think we hit around about 150, so we fell 50 short. But a thumbs up always helps. We appreciate the support as always, guys. You guys are always great. I love the fact that you guys are always tuning in every Monday night. I love the names that I can always remember in here. You guys are awesome. Yeah, so look forward to that oil change video from Brandon. I'm going to do the exact same thing here very soon with Blackstone. I've been already thinking about doing that. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, thumbs up. That's going to do it for tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you same time, same place next Monday night.
See you in a couple weeks.